Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, April 20th, 2017. And here are some of today's trends in the news. Over there in Asia, only Nikkei down. Hang Seng and Shanghai up. Over there in Europe, up. We're a little early tonight. The Dow's not closed yet, but it's up almost 200 points. NASDAQ up, oil down a bit, gold flat. So what's going on? Dow jumps 200 points. As Mnuchin says, tax plan is close. That's the Treasury Secretary, and you know what that is.
That was bullshit.
Well, we'll see, because other things aren't panning out, but earnings numbers are coming in, and they're pretty positive as well. And as we know, Trump has previously set deadlines that they've missed, and maybe they'll get some more bombs going off, maybe the father of all bombs this time, and maybe some more missiles going into Syria, and we'll forget about whether or not they're going to have that tax plan in place. Oil. I know. Oil prices mixed and choppy trade. Rising U.S. production waves. Yep. Crude oil prices tumbled yesterday 3.5% as U.S. government data showed domestic crude stocks fell less than expected, and gasoline stocks posted a surprising 1.5 million barrel build. U.S. crude oil production, very important, rose to 9.25 million barrels per day. We're talking along the levels of Saudi Arabia and Russia, just to put this into perspective. Almost a 10% increase since mid-2016. Inventories of 532 million barrels remain near all-time records reached in March. Again, we will put our forecasts for where oil has gone, where it is, and where it's going against anyone. We've nailed this virtually perfectly since oil peaked at $115 a barrel back in 2014, June. And remember, in Trends in the News, we've been forecasting a decline in tourism thanks to Trump policies and anti-American sentiments. Well, guess what? United Arab Emirates cuts flights to U.S. as security clampdown drags on Gulf carriers. Emirates Airlines is cutting the number of flights to the U.S. in a strong sign that new security measures introduced by Donald Trump are hitting the operation of the big Gulf carriers. The state-owned Dubai airline blamed its decision on weakened demand for travel to the U.S. following tough measures imposed on U.S.-bound travelers from the Middle East. Facebook's new frontier, mind reading. Facebook wants to read your mind. What if you could type directly from your brain? And they're talking more about brain-computer interface. Yeah. They're into our brains already. People have lost them. They buy all the little BS pumped out there, the propaganda. Oh, yeah, it would just be another way of controlling them. It's happening already. J.P. Morgan accused of fraud over advice. They steered a technology company client to sell itself to BlackBerry at a knockdown price because it wanted to win lucrative future investment banking business from the smartphone pioneer, according to an investor lawsuit. And you know what'll happen with this. No one will go to jail. Nope, they never do, even if they're convicted. Remember, we saw no one on Wall Street under Obama, and that Eric Holders, who, our Attorney General, they were too big to jail. So once again, I'm only mentioning this because it's a neo-feudal society. Regardless of whether they get convicted or not, none of the people responsible at the top will go to jail. They'll throw some little peasant out there that works for them and make them take the rap. China car recalls raise fears over domestic brand quality. Domestic brands accounted for 1% of car recalls in China last year, a thinly proportionate number that potentially signals underreporting of quality and safety issues by the country's car industry. So what they're saying is there are actually more recalls. So they're trying to make this look like China is not producing very good cars, and they're probably not. Because you go back, I remember when, Nissan and Toyota, people didn't want to buy them. And then as years progress, and what you see what goes on in China, few foreign cars are imported. They are made almost entirely in China by joint ventures. Yep, that's the way the Chinese work. It is a rigged trade deal. And again, you can't buy an entire Chinese company, many of them. You got to go in partners with them. But I'm also mentioning this because of recalls. Recalls day after day, week after week, and I'm very, very confident, and we will be writing about it more, that the next big bust is going to be this driverless automobile trend. We do not see it happening as they're promoting it. It's going to be, to us, the next dot-com bust in the techno field. Breaking news! Breaking news! Fox News ousts O'Reilly, a host central to its rise. Conservative pillars firing may leave viewers adrift. They're too stupid to figure out anything by themselves, so they will be adrift. It is crap. Facing pressures on women's claims of harassment. Look at this coverage in the toilet paper record. This is the front page, and there's O'Reilly shaking hands with the Pope. O'Reilly on vacation greeted Pope Francis in St. Peter's Square on Wednesday, the day Fox announced his dismissal. Look at this. For all you foreign subscribers, you could care less about this, right? Well, guess what? So can 99% of the American people. And this is how the toilet paper operates, turning itself into crap as they brag about how great they are. Look at the coverage of this. A prostitute gets fired for trying to play a John, maybe, huh? Anyway, moving on to other news of a little bit more importance that doesn't make the front page, only the back page of the Wall Street Journal on page A18. Venezuela clashes, flare. Yep, a couple of people got killed. Things are heating up over there in Venezuela. Again, this O'Reilly guy is more important, the news, than what's really going on in the world. In Mexico, mounting misdeeds by state leaders often escape justice. Yeah, just like in the USA, huh? How about misdeeds by government officials in the United States? Like the misdeed of bombing innocent people in Iraq. Now the UN is reporting over 800,000 Iraqis are suffering from malnutrition. Yeah. That doesn't make the news. This does. It's a neo-feudal society. The political nobility and economic elite around the world get a free ride. German anti-immigration leader to skip elections. There's a problem with the AfD party in Germany. They had a big lead there, but now it's going down. So a lot of missteps and propaganda probably also have pushed them to the sidelines, particularly the Nazi talk. That's never too popular. But it's popular in the United States when you go kill innocent peoples. U.S. drone strike kills 4 suspects in central Yemen. The strike destroyed the car and set the wreckage ablaze. The officials say that the victims were all burned beyond recognition. But they were suspects, and that's good enough. No judge, no jury, no trial. The military's taken over this country. Let's get this straight. Again, murder. Murder. We got to watch them Yemenis before you know it. They'll be marching into Florida. We got to stop them now. And they got ISISes all over the place. This is nothing more than putting back America's puppet government that they threw out, and the Saudi puppet government. Trump administration announces new military operation in Somalia. The Pentagon announced the deployment of dozens of U.S. troops to Somalia last week, the first deployment of regular infantry since 1994. Again, the United States destroyed the country because the person running it back in the early 90s didn't fit their mold. And just like they did to Libya, just like they did to Iraq, they've destroyed Somalia, which is now one of the poorest countries in the world. More military operations, more death and more failure, and more of our money as they spend billions to slaughter people. And you know the story. Aircraft carrier was not heading where U.S. said, far from North Korea. After a week of Asian tensions, officials detail miscues. Just over a week ago, the White House declared that ordering an American aircraft carrier into the Sea of Japan would send a powerful deterrent signal to North Korea and give President Trump more options in responding to North Korea's provocative behavior. What is North Korea's provocative behavior? They're testing missiles. They're not allowed to. Only America and its friends are. Yeah, you got to be completely helpless so the United States can attack you anytime that they want. All of a sudden, North Korea has become this big issue. And they're bragging, our leaders, about how tough we are because they sent missiles into Syria and the mother of all bombs into Afghanistan. So anyway, so now they say that that ship wasn't going there, but the aircraft carrier, as they reported, but now it's back en route on its way to North Korea. But here's how the propaganda works. This was last week from El Prestatutes. Chinese and Russian spy vessels follow U.S. Navy strike group to Korean Peninsula. China and Russia have reportedly dispatched spy vessels to the Korean Peninsula as the U.S. Navy strike group approaches the region. Both navies will monitor the movements of the American Armada, which is led by the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson. Yeah, Carl took a different trip, but they still had the Russians and the Chinese monitoring them. Yeah, believe everything the government tells you. Really be stupid. You're worried about mind control from Facebook? People have got no mind control right now. This country's been taken over. Hey, and that guy Pence, all of a sudden, we got the vice president declaring war everywhere he goes, talking about North Korea. U.S. Vice President warns North Korea, the sword is ready. We will defeat any attack and meet any use of conventional or nuclear weapons with an overwhelming and effective American response. All options are on the table. All options are on the table. They keep using this two-bit phrase. And by the way, much of this information that I'm reading you about war, none of it comes from El Prestatute Press. I got to get it from other places, like in Yemen, etc. History will attest the soldier does not bear the sword in vain. This is a clown of a man who brags about being pro-life and an evangelical Catholic. Hey, what Christ you talking about, clown boy? Murdering millions of people, huh? Yeah, that's okay. We don't like the leader there, so we'll slaughter millions of people and wipe out the country, huh? History will attest the soldier does not bear the sword in vain. How about you leading the charge? You and your daughters and the Trump kids. The war drums are banging louder. Either occupy peace or they're going to occupy war for us. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.